Hello everybody, I'm so excited. My new ScanNCut has finally arrived and I wanted to show everybody what comes in the box. I haven't even seen what's in there yet. Before turning on, please read quick reference guide. Okay, it looks like we have a couple of mats. The first one is a standard mat. Put that right there. The second one is called a low tack mat. I hear that one's primarily for paper. We have a roll of something. It may be the fabric, the high tack fabric thing, or it may be the applique stabilizer. I don't know. On the wrapper it doesn't tell what it's for yet, so maybe we can figure that out in a few minutes. Packing cardboard. Okay, next we have the machine. And it's a red one. The dealer closest to me isn't going to carry them because they're available on Amazon. The next dealer can't get her hands on them. So I finally, when I was on vacation down in Georgia over Thanksgiving, I went to a dealer in Jacksonville, Florida to finally see one in action. And what I found out was I knew about as much about it as they did. So I came home and ordered it from Amazon. And it just arrived today. There's a couple pieces of styrofoam in here. And some more packing cardboard. And a little toolbox, it looks like. I didn't think to have a scissors or a knife out, so bear with me while I open this. There we go. I'll put the box over here. We have, looks like a power cord. Has Brother on it, and that end probably plugs into the machine here. We have another cord. It's got a little zip tie on it, so it could be packaged up to travel. And it has the plug that goes into the wall. So there's a first step in taking off a twisty tie. So it has a longer cord on it now. Put some cardboard back in the box to clear off the workspace here. And here's where the manuals are. On the back there's a bunch of hieroglyphics in languages I don't even understand. And I don't think it's available in those countries yet. I think it's a US thing only at this point. We have a limited warranty. We have the ScanNCut canvas URL that we can go out and convert SVGs to FCMs to be able to do the applique. I'll want to keep that. The warranty, that's important. We want to keep that. More warranty. Thank you for choosing a Brother product. Registermybrother.com. Make sure to do that later, so if I have any problems. Okay, we've got the quick reference guide. That's what I'm supposed to read first. There's a pattern list that has all the shapes that are inside the machine. Since I got mine from Amazon, it doesn't have near as many as the blue machine. If you go through your local dealer, if they do carry it, and they can get some, they will have a bigger pattern list than what you have when you go through Amazon. You've got a basic quilting guide, how to make a quilt. That'll be interesting to read through later. Important message. Please do not return to the store. I'm supposed to call Brother if I have any problems. I think I'll put that over there with my register. And then here's the operations manual for my new cutting machine. And I've already read this one online, so I probably won't take the time to read it now. But I do want the quick reference guide. It talks about inserting the blade into the blade housing, adjusting your cut pressure, putting the holder in, attaching the paper to the mat. Little do they know I plan on using it with fabric mostly, not paper, but we'll see about that. Here's the accessories list, and that's the last thing I'll unpack here, is the little accessories pouch. We've got the turquoise standard blade, and we've got the purple deep cut blade. I don't know how much I'll be using the deep cut blade on, but maybe I'll need it for the denim that I'm wanting to cut. And we've got a stylus to use on the screen, which the screen pops up here. And we've got the spatula. And I understand the spatula is for putting the items down onto your sticky mats. And the flat part here is for scooping it up off the sticky mats. And so everything is unpacked. And now I get to finish reading the quick start guide. And I'll be back with whatever it is I'm supposed to do next. Thanks for watching. Okay, hi everybody, I'm back now. All I did since the last video when I opened everything was I took off the packing tape, I tidied up the workspace a little. I figured out that this is the applique sheets for the iron-on adhesive. For my test today, I'm going to use SteamASeam II. I've read that works just fine, so I'll be saving this for later. I wasn't sure where the blue fabric support sheets were. They were cleverly packaged with the standard mat. So in theory, you're supposed to add the stickier stuff to the standard mat to be able to do fabric that has not been stabilized and does not have SteamASeam II or applique sheets on it. That's my understanding. We're going to test that theory now. The other thing I did was I plugged the machine into the wall and I pushed the power button. I waited and waited and waited for it to power up, and it kept scrolling through a bunch of different things, and then I realized I probably need to push something. I have not pushed anything yet except the power button, so I wanted you all to be here with me when I do push something to see what happens. The other thing I did, I had put together a little box kit to take to a dealer with me to do some test cutting. And some of the things that I packed was painter's tape. I've read on Cricut and Silhouette Cameo sites that sometimes it helps to stabilize fabric around the edges with some painter's tape. So I packed my painter's tape in case it's needed. I also packed a permanent marker in case I needed to go heavier on the design that I'm planning to do today. So I have that now. The other thing I have is some batik fabric, and I have several squares, of which some of them have SteamASeam II on them and some of them don't. And I thought we would just play around today to see which works and which doesn't. And there's the third. I had about 3 or 4, 3.5 of each. So I could play at the dealer with it, but now I'm getting to play at home. The other thing I have is just a little scrap of denim because I want to see if the standard cut blade will go through denim, and I have not stabilized it yet. I may decide to use it later. I may decide to use the fabric support sheet that it's stickier, but I didn't think I wanted SteamASeam II on the back of denim going into my project, so I didn't put any on it. The next thing I have is I have printed out of the embroidery design software that I use is called Embird, and I highly recommend it. You can go out to Embird and get a trial version if you like. I've printed out an outline only, and I'd like to see if the ScanNCut recognizes the outlines that come out of Embird. The other thing that I've seen on the internet to do is to stitch out these outlines and scan it in and see if that works. So I had posted both variations. And then the other thing is with the stitch out, when I do the cuts, I'm going to put them on the stitch out to see if they're within the lines, and that was going to tell me at the dealer if it worked or not. So I thought, well, what I was going to do at the dealer, I'd like to do here with you guys. So to get started, here's the machine, and I'm going to push the little house button. I think that's the home button, and hopefully that will stop the scrolling. And it said the carriage and mat will move to the initial position. Keep your hands away from the carriage. So I don't have hands or anything away, and I'm going to click OK. And it works kind of like a printer on the carriage. It's just an open carriage, so you don't want to get your fingers involved. And we have a pattern or we have a scan. So the thing I want to do is scan. And I can either do a direct cut, I can do a scan to cut data, or I can scan to USB. Since I don't have my USB with me right now, I'm not going to scan to USB, but I want to scan to cut data. And I can create, cut, or draw data from images. It wants me to put my materials to scan on the mat and set it to the machine. And so what I have here is the standard mat. It still has the plastic film on it. So I'm going to take the plastic film off, and I've read you want to keep this to keep the mat sticky. The other thing I've read is if your mat loses its stickiness, use non-alcohol baby wipes, unscented baby wipes on it, and that will help refresh the stickiness. So I have some of those downstairs. I don't have them with me right now. But the first thing I'm going to do is take the picture that I printed, and I'm going to roughly line it up with the edges. And I should probably be using my low tack mat instead of my standard, since I'm going to be scanning paper first. I want low tack so that it's not a really strong adhesive. So I'm taking off the plastic from it and putting it over here for later, because I'll want to put it back on the mat later. And we've got arrows on both edges of the mat. It doesn't matter which goes in, it will recognize it either way. So I am putting it on, and this is the first time I've ever done this, so don't laugh if anything happens. And so I've put it in there, and this is the button to load, and it says it's loading it. And of course, I forgot to put the paper on it, so I probably better unload. Anybody laughing yet? I asked you not to laugh. And so we're going to press it down on the low tack adhesive mat. I did also buy the scanning mat. I have it downstairs. It came about a week ago, and that was so hard having a scanning mat but no machine to scan it into. So I did not bring it up because it does not come with the machine. You have to buy that separately. And so putting it back up there, and let's try loading it again now that I actually have a design on the mat. And I believe I just pushed the start button, and since it's loaded, and it will scan, and I want to make sure there's nothing behind it on my table here. I did go get the scissors. And I'll move my denim out of the way. It scanned it through, it brought it back. It's saying recognizing, it's trying to look and seeing if it sees any of the shapes. And we will wait since this is real time. It's recognizing it. I want you to get an idea of what you're going to be going through when you get one of these machines. So I'm not planning on editing or cutting out anything. And so now it has on the screen my little vase and a few of the flowers. And then I have several choices. I can do outlines, I can add margins, I can do inside cuts. And so I did the inside cuts, and then I'm going to use the crop lines to crop it down to the design size. And you just hold your little stylus on there till it beeps and then drag. It's a lot of my other software techniques and everything are coming into use here, how I've dealt with other pieces of machinery and other software packages. So far, it's very easy to use, no big surprises. I haven't had to run to the big operation book yet. So now that we have that, I'm going to save the design. And it asks me where I want to save it since I don't have a USB with me right now. I'm not going to do it to the USB, I'm going to do it to the machine. And it's saving it. And it's saving in the machine's memory, and the file name is M000001. So that proves to you this is the first time I've ever scanned anything. And I want to click OK. And I'm going to eject the mat. because the next thing I want to do is take that off. And I think I want to go back to the standard mat. I'm not positive about that, but I'm going to try it. And I'm going to put these SteamASeam II pieces of fabric on. I'm going to peel off the paper back. And I'm peeling off the paper back and going to stick it down on the standard mat. And you're supposed to use your little spatula to make sure it's flat. And so there's my items on my standard mat, and I'm going to go ahead and put the half item on there too. We'll see how this works. I probably should have just done one at a time, but I'm feeling lucky today. Okay, so the next step, now that we're saved, is to get back to our regular menu. And let's go out one more. And we want to go into the pattern. And we want to go into the saved data that I put on the ScanNCut. And open it up there. And I really don't think there's anything I want to do with it right now, except maybe scan in the fabric. And I've seen lots of posts that the corners get bent, so I'm trying to be very careful with the corners here. And load the mat. And okay. And I want to scan in the background mat so I can tell where to put each of the flowers and where to put the vase. And so now it's going to scan through just like it's scanned in the picture. It's going to scan in the fabrics. So far so good. We haven't had any jams, but we also haven't tried to cut anything yet. Okay, so now on my screen I can see the little flower circles and I can see the little vase. So what I'm going to do is click and drag the vase up to the blue fabric, because I want a striped vase. And then I'm just going to grab the flowers and put a couple of them on the purple and a couple of them on the pink batik fabrics. And I'll put one kind of in the lighter area and another one kind of in the darker area. And I think that's what I want to do. So I'll click OK. And now I'm going to take a, well no, I'm not going to take a deep breath because I need to look at my cutting utensil. I haven't put it in yet. I've read 3 is a good number. And so I'm going to set my standard blade to 3. And flip this up, and it's about like installing a paint cartridge. I've not used electronic cutters before, but I'm assuming Cricut and Cameos and all those other kinds do a similar thing to install the blade. The other thing is pressure. I haven't seen the pressure menu yet, so I probably need to find it. And I'm not sure where to go for that, so I need to look that up in the manual, and I'll be right back. Hi everybody, I'm back now. I ran downstairs and I got some notes that I had taken of different people's cut pressure and blade depth and cut speed, what their preferences were, so we can refer to that. And I also found in my manual how to find out how to set the pressure, because the depth is on the blade and I wasn't sure where to find the pressure. Cleverly, there is a third button here. The top one is power. The second one is the home button that took us back to the home. The other button on here that I haven't pushed yet is setting, and it looks like a little wrench, a little toy wrench. So I have not pressed it yet, so I don't know what's behind this curtain. So let's push it and see what happens. We can choose our language. We can use millimeters or inches. It's set for inches, which is fine for me. The cut area is 11.73 inches tall and 11.65 inches wide. So for anybody wanting a 12-inch cutting area, it's not quite there. And then you can change the background to be darker and lighter, which I don't need to right now. There's 5 pages here, so I'm going to go down another page. Cut speed is set at 3, cut pressure is set at 0, and then there's a draw speed and a draw pressure, which I didn't buy the blue model, so I don't have the pins. I haven't felt the need to get that with the kind of crafting that I like to do, the kind of sewing and quilting that I like to do, and embroidery. I'm not sure I'll need the pins, so I held off on buying those. They may be a birthday present request later next year. So my cut speed of 3, cut pressure of 0. Let's see what other people recommend. I have someone that had a pressure of 3 and blade depth of 4, and she didn't mention a speed. I had someone else had a cut speed of 3, a cut pressure of 0, and a blade depth of 6. I would not want to start with a blade depth of 6. I've heard too many horror stories of this thing cutting straight through the mat, and then you have to duct tape the back of your mat in order to use it again. So I'm not personally going to start with a blade depth of 6. I'm going to start light and work up. Cut pressure of 6, cut speed of 1, blade depth of 3. I'm seeing blade depth of 3 being the lightest. So that's what I set mine on before I put it in here earlier when you were watching. Looks like I set it for 4. I'm going to change my mind and go to 3. I would rather try it at a lighter one and have to redo it than have a mat that got cut through. Okay, so the pressure of 3, pressure of 0, pressure of 6. I'm going to try cut pressure of 0 with a test cut just to see. And the speed, it's set on 3. Cut speed, the only one mentioned here, there was a cut speed of 1. Let's see what 3 can do with a pressure of 0 and the blade depth of 3. Let's see if it actually goes through it. And I'm going to go through the other ones, just the auto shutdown, buzzer sound, seam allowance, pattern interval. That's nothing I need to deal with now. Page 4, opening screen on or off. It's currently set to on. I think I'm going to try that off, and maybe it won't do all that scrolling like it did for me earlier. So I'm going to try it off. And then my serial number and my version is 1.00. So I'm getting on the ground floor of the ScanNCut technology. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is a test cut. And I didn't see that option anywhere, so I'm going to have to look it up in my manual. Trial cutting is on page 19 of this manual, so it's just back a page. Trial cutting. Pattern and test. So once again, you're getting this real time, me figuring it out, not having a dealer here to help me. Let's try clicking OK. And we don't want to cut yet, I want to do a test cut first. So let's go back to the home screen, delete all patterns. Okay, I'm going to have to rearrange them later. And let's go to the pattern, and there is a test Earlier we did save data to pull it back off the hard drive of the machine. Now I'm going to click test. And we have a square, a triangle, and a right angle. So I think I'm going to try test object 01 as a square. So let's try that. And it's less than a ½ inch, a little over a ¼ inch is what the default is. So I think I want to try doing that, and I'm not going to worry about any of the little icons at the bottom yet. And so I'm going to set that. And it's a teeny tiny square up in the corner. I'm going to drag it down to the bottom of the blue area. It's a little plain area that I probably won't use. So I'm going to drag it down to the corner of that. So let's see how that goes. Okay. Cut. Start. Nope, didn't cut a thing. So, my next step, I think since everybody had different pressures, I'm going to mess with the pressure. And that was the little wrench guy here. And the pressure was on page 2. So I'm going to take him up. One said 6, one said 0. One said 3. I'm going to try 3. So my cut pressure is 3. Let's see what that does. That still didn't do a thing. So the next thing I'm going to do is the blade depth. So 3 wasn't good. Let's take it up to 4. And let's see what 4 does. Well, 4 didn't do anything. I'm going to reduce the speed to 2. Cut pressure to 4. And blade depth to 5. Probably changing too many variables at once, but it's not even scoring the fabric yet. Now it's making me wonder if there's even a blade installed. They said they were pre-installed, but I need to check on a few things. I'll be back. Hi guys, guess what? There was a blade installed, but I have not found anywhere where it tells you what you're supposed to do. So I've already done it to my standard cut blade. Now I've got my deep cut blade. What I suggest you do is twist it all the way tight and then back it back to the number that you want so that the blade is extended. What they did in shipping was they left it loose enough that there wasn't any sticking out here, so it wasn't cutting the nice little baggie or the shipping bag. So I think I'm back in business. So where did I leave it? I left it at cut speed 2, cut pressure 4. I'm going to back the cut pressure back to 3, and my blade depth, I'm going to use it at 3, and I can actually see a little bit sticking out now, so that's good. Like I told you, this is real time. You're learning as I'm learning. So from here, let's click OK. And we'll cut our little square out again, and this time we have a blade. So hopefully it will cut, but not cut through the other mat. So now we'll start, stop. That sounds like it did something. Okay, so here's the spatula. And my test cut was good. It's amazing what happens when you figure things out. Okay, I don't see that it cut the mat at all. Just a little bit. Which is what it's supposed to do. So I did cut speed 2, cut pressure 3, and the blade depth of 3. So now I'm going to go back and try to do my flower pot. Which I go to home. Okay to delete all patterns because that was the test pattern. So now I want a pattern. And from save data on the machine, the only one I've scanned so far, now I've got to put my pieces back on the different fabrics. Huh. Okay. Oh, I have to click OK. Okay, now I can edit. There we go. Okay, so I'm putting my base up in the blue stripe fabric. I'm putting a couple of flowers down in the purple fabric. And a couple flowers. One kind of in the light part, and one kind of down in the dark part. Okay. So, we're back to where we were a little bit while ago. But I have higher confidence now because the test cut worked. So let's click on cut. And your finger works on the screen or the stylus. From here I'm using the stylus because it extends my reach. And now I should end up with 4 flowers and a vase. So we'll see what happens when I push start. Started with the flower on the right. I haven't yet figured out how it chooses the order it does things. And now it's doing the flowers on the bottom piece of fabric. And now it's doing the base. Awesome. So it's finished cutting. I'm clicking OK. And now I don't want to just yank the mat out of there. I have to remember to eject it. So that's this top button. And now I have ejected the mat. And I'm going to use my little spatula to, well, I don't even need the spatula. SteamASeam II, it's coming right off. The fabrics are coming right off. Oh, this is wonderful. Okay, so I went back and I have my cutaway stabilizer where I've stitched the outlines to 2 of the flowers and 1 of the vase. And here's the moment of truth. I've got the vase. I'm putting it in. Oh, that is beautiful. Now I have to figure out which flower is which here. I think this one's this one. This is about like a puzzle, so if anybody out there likes doing puzzles, this will be right up your alley. And this one may be this one. So this particular vase and these particular flowers, I don't know how it's going to look closer up, but I am, oops, it slipped. My SteamASeam II must not be real sticky. But when you lay it down and you line everything up, you can give it a shot with your iron and it will stay put. So I would call this a very successful test. Thanks for watching. Bye now.